Oh shit. During the meeting, you were supposed to write on that. Like, so the paper that we had on Friday, when you had a meeting, the whip was supposed to be writing, so I'd be like, how many people, yay, I would write it down.
America and Congress assembled that the 19th Amendment of the United States Constitution shall be repealed. The 27th Amendment, which shall informally be referred to as the Restoration of Justice Amendments. The 28th Amendment, Section 28th Amendment will restore voting rights to exclusively the male gender. In addition, the 15th Amendment, voting rights based upon race, color, or previous condition of servitude shall not be abridged. The responsibility of the implementation of the 28th Amendment shall be granted to the Department of Justice with special permission to the FBI. Each state's election administration shall issue special voting ID cards to all eligible males across the country. All current voter ID cards will be deemed obsolete. Any female who attempts to infringe upon the 28th Amendment will be granted 2 disciplinary options. Option 1, they will be sentenced to jail time for the amount of years as the amount of representatives from their state of residence, i.e., if they're from Wyoming, they will only need to serve 1 year of jail time. Option 2, they may enter the Scripps National Spelling Bee for a chance to earn the right to vote by winning the competition. However, if they achieve anything less than absolute victory, they will not only be subject to years of torment due to losing to 5th grader, they'll have to serve 15 years in maximum security prison.
Yeah. Okay. The chair will now recognize the author of. Go ahead.
Well, there are 2 viable arguments for voting for this bill. One of which would be that ever since the 19th Amendment that was passed in 1920, there is a significant rise in the spending of the national government, and that can't be associated with anything like any social programs like Social Security, given that those were not passed until the 30s and 40s. So we can decrease on spending if we do not allow women to vote because they can't handle their money properly. Playing along with this. I don't actually believe that. It's okay. And then reason number 2, since females are not eligible since females do not have to be in the draft, however, they are able to vote on bills that would affect whether people go to war or not. It is not
The principal has entered the room.
I feel like she's owed a background explanation. No need.
Yes.
No, she said.
You really do. You really have to. Continue, formerly known as Jackson, whose name is now Trouble, will explain to you where you stepped in this process. Please explain to Dr. Safari.
So I've proposed a bill to the United States Senate to repeal the 19th Amendment and replace it with the 28th Amendment, which would restore the justice of all males voting.
And his supporting argument, which you just missed, was we've started deficit spending since the passage of the 19th Amendment. So by repealing that, presumably we will bring our budget back under control. Now, this bill had a bunch of opportunities to die. Should have died in committee. Committee kept it alive. Should have been deprioritized in party caucuses. Party leadership kept it alive. And so here we found ourselves at a terrible moment on the Senate floor. Please go ahead.
So, as I was saying about females not being allowed into the draft, however, they are able to vote on bills that would that could lead others to fight in war and could promote a draft. They should not be allowed to vote if they do not hereby themselves put themselves into the draft.
So, as
Seems
the
fair to
presiding
me.
officer of the Senate, once you're too old to serve in the military, should you also lose your right to vote, since you could also vote for things that would put people in the line of fire, even though you couldn't be put in the line of fire? Or
Well,
possibly disabled if you're, you can't. You're in the
I'd be
military.
totally fine to vote. I mean, I'd be totally fine to go into the military if we had another World War.
What about if you're 80?
Just put me up in a chair, I'll take a gun.
And you've lost both your arms because you served in the Vietnam War.
I'll be the sight for the army.
Okay. Please tell me you're done talking.
I wish I wasn't, but I am.
All right, the chair will now entertain a statement in the negative or a question.
I just have to say, just by your second argument about women not being in the draft, I understand while there may seem like an inequality there and how women are going to be voting for men who are in the draft but women aren't, but men vote on like abortion bills all the time, and men don't get abortions. So I don't see how that's a logical conclusion that women can't vote because they don't go into the draft. Because if you're using that same logic, then men should be able to vote on abortion bills.
The chair will now entertain a statement in the affirmative or a question. Would you like to respond?
Oh yes, I would like to. First of all, I would like to say thank you for your knowledge of this topic. But I would like to rebuke what you said by affirming that you cannot equivocate lives being sent to the lives being sent to war, because that directly affects whether they will live or not. Rather, abortion bills do not directly affect the life of the mother.
What?
What?
Are you kidding me?
Wait,
what?
Because if I say a woman can't have an abortion after like the 3rd trimester or whatever, that doesn't affect whether the
Hang on. Senators, control yourself.
that does not affect whether the woman will live. If I send a man to war, there is a very good chance that he will not come back. And that should not be up to people who by themselves are not going to war.
Yes. Okay, so Senator Scott would like to propose an amendment. What would you like to propose?
It's the bill that is underneath that one. We did
Shaking in
together.
your boots.
And it was that women can get the right to vote if they sign up for the draft or they sign up for the military.
Okay, and we have been over this like 13 times. The selective service is not the same thing as a draft, right? That's the list that should we ever have to draft, we would, but there would have to be really clear and a long conversation about what that draft would look like. So signing up for selective service and being drafted are two very different things. Okay, so the proposal is that we attach the Equal Rights, Equal Fights bill to this piece of trash written by Senator Trouble. Ow, I think I just paper cut my own eyeball. Oh my god. Oh my word. That's terrible. Wow. This is my personal worst teaching moment of my life. Thank you. Okay. All we need to do is get all we need to do is get a simple majority for amendments on the floor. Remember, amendments on the Senate floor do not have to be germane. They do not have to be the same topic. They would if we were the House, but we're not. Lucky us for the Senate. Okay, so all in favor of accepting the rider as the amendment as an attachment, a rider attachment, please indicate by raising your right hand. Whips, it's a simple majority. It's not that you're passing the bill; it's that you're accepting the rider attachment. Okay, Whips is going to be close. We'll stand up and do some counting if you have to.
That's a majority.
Camille, do you agree?
This is for equal rights. This is not for equal rights.
I thought it was 19.
Are we able to like?
This is simple.
Oh, simple.
Simple. Camille? Yes?
Yes, this is a simple majority.
It is, yes.
I'm asking you.
Yes?
It is.
Yeah, it is.
If both of the Whips agree, then that's both parties. Okay, so the amendment, these are a package deal now. The chair will now entertain a statement in the internet, make sure this follows him anywhere he might go.
We'll see.
Okay. Any questions in the statement in the affirmative or a question?
I have a question. Can we like?
Can you stand up, please?
So does it just have to be like those two bills attached, or can we make like a bunch of changes to it?
You can go to town. It's
Alright.
open. The Senate floor is open.
Okay,
There's no
so
rules.
we need to do a little bit of.
Okay, so what are you proposing, Senator?
Well, I was thinking that. Okay, I was thinking that we should make it so if you register for the selective services, then you have the right to vote, and if you don't register for it, then you don't have the right to vote.
So that's,
No, this one is just, this,
for the men.
Register for the.
well, men are already required to register.
Then we change it so that men
But we
aren't
need-
required.
We need to have some people that are already
okay, so how do we,
required. Or otherwise we would.
Senator, get really specific, we've got these attached to each other, they're package deal. How would we amend, like, which line, or what do we need to do here?
I don't know, I haven't read that.
Well, would be like the 20th Amendment or store voting rights to exclusively the male gender, and then like have an add-on to that sentence, like except.
Unless the female potential voters decide to register for the selective services.
Is it easier to amend this bill
No, probably.
and say,
It kind of contradicts the other one that you just amended that.
I think it's easier to amend Jackson's bill, Trouble's bill.
Rebel's bill? Okay, how do we amend it? You gotta be really specific. What lines are we taking out, what are we putting in?
It's like the beginning of line 5, the end of that sentence,
I think so.
the end of that sentence, like exclusively male gender, and then like.
Can we just vote?
Can we just and then
There's a
add
line. Any senator that's interested in bringing this up to vote, there's a line. So if I were to ask, are you ready for the question?
Yeah.
Waiting, check the script, waiting for the line.
I moved the previous question.
Okay, so is there a second? In other words, you're ready to vote, somebody else is ready to vote.
second. I don't know.
Okay, the motion has been seconded, so right now, we didn't have minutes, we gotta move to vote. These two things are attached to each other.
I just have a question.
Yes.
Since this is an amendment, don't I need, since this is an amendment, do we need 2/3 of the vote instead of the,
No, she just asked to move the whole question, so yes, we're moving to adopt, so it would be
so
2/3.
2/3 of,
Yeah, correct.
So you need 19.
So the question is concerned with the adoption of Senate Bill 1, this includes, we've got a writer attached to it. All those in favor of passing the bill into law will rise and remain standing while the vote is taken, this is 2/3. All right, all those in favor? Okay,
for history.
Whips.
Vote for your bill.
Okay, nays likewise. And you have to vote, everybody
It was
has to
17,
vote, there's no not voting. Front row. Nope, there's no abstaining.
You said there's abstaining.
No, there's no abstaining in this.
Oh.
Didn't some of these people
Okay.
stand up for
Whips.
No.
There's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, what?
Isn't it like? Oh, frick! No, it's not then. So it's neither.
So the nays have it, is that what you're telling me,
Yeah.
Whips?
Well, that's because they didn't notice stand up for the.
Yeah. Wait, I'm confused.
I am too.
I call a recount.
Okay, we're gonna have to revote, there is no abstaining. So, the question is concerned with the adoption of Senate Bill 1, all those in favor of passing the bill into law will rise and remain standing while the vote is taken. Whips, go ahead.
So favor of passing?
Are you up, Josh?
I am up. I'm actually up for this.
All right, Whips, you have your count.
This is yes?
Yes, 12.
Okay, remember, please be seated, nays likewise. And you stood for the nays? No, I was letting you- Okay, and Whips,
So cool.
so the nays have it, correct?
Oh.
Thank God.
I'm disappointed in you guys.
Assign this nonsense to the cycle.
I still have it on Google Docs.
Or do you need me to do one more round? So weird, or are you ready to go?
Yeah, can we do more? But like,
I can do one more that's hopefully a little more. Okay, So the next one up is, so Zach, if you follow along to the bottom, then when you take over the next time, you'll take over that line. The chair will entertain a main motion. And then you go back to the top. You don't need to call us back to the order because we're already, oh my, well, this one's pretty strange too. And it has a paper clip. So this is the one that the leadership put as their second priority. Okay, so I'm shopping for the chairperson of the standing committee that reviewed this bill. Who's that?
Jackson.
That me?
That was you. That was you, Jackson.
Alright, so you've got a line
Okay,
on
I
your
have one.
chairperson.
I move to consider Senate Bill 2.
Is the motion seconded? Okay. So once again, on this one, whips, it's just a simple majority to open it. So everybody, you guys are just voting if you want to spend your class time. Look at how much time we have left on this bill, yes or no. So it's a simple majority. The motion's been seconded to take up Senate Bill 2. All in favor signify by raising their hand.
No one.
Wait, what?
Rip it.
Okay?
Are you in favor of the bill? Yes.
We don't have, there's not a simple majority to open that one. Okay, the next one.
Because no one voted.
The writer was lowering the drinking.
No, but it makes it so states can't make it.
Okay, priority number 3 was this one.
Wait, save the paperclip.
Oh, okay, I can say it. Who's the chairperson of the standing committee that reviewed this?
I move to consider Senate Bill number 2. Three.
All right, is the motion seconded? Okay, the motion has been seconded to take up Senate Bill 3. So this is opening it up. Will all in favor signify by raising your right hand? Okay, oops, it's gonna be close. We need a simple majority to open it. If you're in for opening it, please keep your hand up.
I got 12.
My hand is not up.
It's still not no.
12? Not still, not enough. Okay. The majority does not want to spend their Senate time on that bill.
Why voting no one
Okay. The chair will entertain a main motion. I'm gonna have to pick something. Who's the chairperson of this committee?
Oh wait, is this one me?
Yeah, that's Caesar.
Oh. I move to consider Senate Bill
4.
4.
Okay, is the motion seconded? The motion has been seconded to take up Senate Bill 4. Will all in favor signify by raising their right hand?
Let's vote for something. I want to do something.
There's only 13. No. 14. I counted 13.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Oh, now one change. Hold up.
Wait, we have to do something.
Raise your hands high and don't move them. Okay, it's simple majority now.
Do you agree? Okay, so this one's open. Will the chairperson of the standing committee please come to the podium?
The Immigration Solutions Bill to establish methods of assisting immigrants and alter the current immigration policy. Be it enacted by the Senate of the United States of America and Congress Assembly that the United States of America shall repeal the diversity visa program. All world nations shall apply for immigration in the same manner in order to maintain equality for all immigrants in a need and merit-based system, where immigrants are chosen based on the immediate need of asylum or work, as well as by proof of clean criminal record and proper documentation. The Immigration and Naturalization Service will be in charge of this action. The United States shall admit as permanent residents any direct family defined as blood or adopted children's spouse, proven as with legal documentation of marriage, adoption, and birth certificate of a born or naturalized citizen permanent residency. The Immigration and Naturalization Service will be in charge of this action. Any child born on United States soil of 2 undocumented parents shall be void of being granted citizenship by birth unless reasonably proven that the parents fled their home country before the birth of the child in search of asylum. The Immigration and Naturalization Service will be in charge of this action. The United States of America shall permit immigrant workers under blue cards, of which must be renewed annually to gain permanent residency if for 5 consecutive years, such immigrants maintain a clear criminal record and work at an equal level of productivity to other non-immigrant counterparts. If any requirements is broken, at any point in time, the immigrant will be unable to renew his or her blue card at the end of the 1-year term and will be sent back to his or her home country. These workers, if sent back to their country of origin due to a failure to comply with all requirements, become ineligible for permanent residency by this method. All laws or parts of yada yada yada.
All right, the chair will recognize the author, who will rise and give his talk.
Alright, so, I personally believe that immigration is a little bit too difficult, in this country as is, and so I proposed a bill that I feel, for multiple different reasons, makes it easier for immigrants to enter our country and stay here as permanent residents, as well as, putting an end to, or at least preventing, family separation with what, families who aren't completely citizens but have a couple citizens, so, that's my hope.
Okay, chair will entertain a statement in the negative or a question. Yes.
How do you reasonably prove that families like their
Thank you for your question. The way that you can prove that is by, I guess you ask them, you do some, research, and you kind of see, were they in danger of, a gang that was going to try to attack them? Were they in severe poverty and wouldn't be able to care for a child that they had no way to get around having, I guess? A child that they had to take care of and had no way to take care of that child reasonably without coming to our country for opportunity. Things like that, I believe, fall under the category of asylum.
It looks like you very cleverly assigned the job to the bureaucracy to determine how to do that. Okay. The chair will now entertain a statement in the affirmative or a question. Yes.
Just kind of adding on to what Lily said, a lot of these, a lot of people that deal with immigration, they have records of what happens in other countries and the dealings that go on, such as gangs or violence. I know my old neighbors that fled from El Salvador, they were able to just say, they were threatened by this political party, and it was well known because that's what these people's jobs are, to know the dealings of, if we're talking mostly of people from Central South America, is to know what happens in Central South America. It would be a very rare case where someone is saying a small group is coming after them. Most likely, if they're seeking asylum in large numbers, it's something that that our country would have on record.
Yes. Sure.
I'd like to remove the part that is lines 11 through 14, where it says that a child born to undocumented parents can't be given birth citizenship, because that would give them no country of origin, and that causes a lot of problems and complications that there's no way to get around if that stayed in place, so that part should be redacted.
Okay, so the proposal is for an amendment, so when you're voting whips, it's for a simple majority, and you are not voting to pass the bill necessarily, you're voting to accept the amendment. So the proposal is to amend the bill to remove lines 11 through 14. All in favor of accepting that amendment, please indicate by raising your right hand. Yes, whips concur. Okay, it's amended. The chair will now entertain a statement in the negative or a question. The chair will entertain a statement in the affirmative or a question. Are you ready for the question? Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, the question is concerned with the adoption of Senate Bill
4.
All those in favor of passing the bill into law will rise and remain standing while the vote is.
We amended it.
We did amend it.
Well, that was the only reason we disagreed.
Yes.
You may be seated. Names likewise. fine? Whoops. No, yeah, the next, okay, the ayes have it. Passing stuff. Okay, President Pro Tempore, if you can get your cane and totter up here, I'll let you take over. And we're on Senator Boyle's bill.
Alright, the chair will now entertain a main motion. I move to
Are you the senator or the chairperson that reviewed this?
so chairperson of whoever reviewed this. Well, you gotta move to consider it. Do you move to
I
consider?
move to consider Senate Bill 5.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Alright, so come up and read it.
That wasn't, that wasn't.
Oh, now we have to vote to open it, yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
I think you have one.
The motion's been seconded to take up, Senate Bill 5.
No, you have to say, is the motion seconded?
Will
so
all
it
in
can count.
favor signify by raising their right hand?
We got a second. Alright, so we'll move to the simple majority, which is to open it.
Simple, yeah.
Alright, will the chairperson of the standing committee please come to the podium and read the bill?
Being enacted by the Senate of the United States of America and Congress assembled, the United States of America will hereby repeal Title IX. This law, which originally had the intention of prohibiting discrimination on the basis of sex in schools, has in turn created more problems than it solves. Repealing Title IX would stop schools from not receiving federal funding because of accused inequalities in any way related to the basis of sex. This prevents men's athletics from being stripped from schools and superfluous women's athletics from being added for the sole purpose of meeting Title IX quotas. This would also repeal legislation from the Obama administration regarding sexual assault in schools that clearly violates citizens' rights to due process of law and a fair trial. Repealing Title IX would cut down on a lot of wasteful spending and allow schools to bring in more money for athletics, as well as eliminate unconstitutional practices. The U.S. Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights is hereby given the responsibility for overseeing the revocation of Title IX.
The chair will now recognize the author of the bill who will give a sponsoring speech.
So basically, I think the initial intention of Title IX was a good idea. It's preventing discrimination on the basis of sex in schools, but really the only outcome that has come from Title IX is through the funding of sports. And since all other funding that's going towards schools goes into campus, classes, whatever it goes towards all genders, so it's not discriminating really, so it's mostly has to do with sexual assault in sports. So as of right now, many male athletics are cut because they say that they have to meet the equal number of male and female students in athletics. So then a lot of sports that have a lot of support from players that want to play like lacrosse, a fun-size sport right now, can't be part of it. And then they have to add on other sports for women's to try to meet these quotas that don't necessarily line up with the needs of the school and the students that want to be a part of activities. So basically, it's forcing equal numbers into sports for equal funding instead of equal opportunity for different sports. And then also for the sexual assault portion through the Obama administration, it doesn't give people a fair trial. There in many cases in colleges where people get accused of something and they can go as far as to be expelled from school before their trial is brought to court and before they're either found innocent or guilty, they are expelled. And there have been many cases where people have been found innocent but have still been expelled through this, through the preponderance of evidence where it's just, they find, they think that the evidence may lead 51% towards conviction, so then they convict them instead of finding real evidence.
I will not mention a statement in the negative or a question.
I would say I agree with this bill because I do believe Title IX adds some added hardships to schools and having to add sports that we may necessarily not want. But the problem I see with getting rid of Title IX also altogether is there's no safeguards for schools to like give women and like females having that equal amount of money go to the funding of women's sports as well, and all other things regarding like female education. And there's like no solution in the bill. It's just like cutting it and then just leaving women and men to like hopefully have people spending on both of them. So my question is, do you propose having any solutions to the problem besides just cutting it to protect women and men?
The chair will not entertain a statement and approve it.
Well, I'd say that, I mean, there shouldn't necessarily be exact equal spending between men's and women's athletics. They don't require the same needs, and they don't bring in the same amount of money. So you've got to consider, college football pays for like 90% of all other college athletics. You bring into account the amount of money that college football, with 60,000 attendees, brings in to the school. That is paying for other sports that lose money for the school. So why should there be equal funding from college to sports that do nothing for a sport that is really contributing to the school? Should they have equal funding?
But the Supreme Court did actually rule on that, and there are, if a revenue raising sport does get some special treatment, so it's not that we have to give the exact same amount of money to men's football and girls volleyball, because when the ones that raise revenue, they can spend extra money on it, their revenue raises more. So the Supreme Court actually already agreed with that.
Like, I literally mean like they have to equal pay because obviously, you know, like football brings in more money. The problem I see is like what stops schools from, you know, cutting all women's sports because they say, oh, men's sports make like more money because they're more athletic, you know what I mean? So like I just want to see some protection for women's sports and ensure that they're not going to cut sports that seem superfluous because people like to do it.
Can I ask a clarifying question on that? What do you mean by men are better at the sports and more interesting?
That's why I said athletic. That's why I said like, I was like just, you know, kind of being facetious where like I could see how people think, you know, I could cut all the women's sports because they're not as athletic and, you know, they don't make as much money, which I don't believe at all. I'm not saying that at all. It's not about, I'm saying like, some people say, you know, like, men are more athletic, but that gives them no right to cut women's sports and to cut things that women are, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying women are less athletic, that's, some people believe that. And so like, I just wanted assurance that women's sports aren't gonna be cut and like the sports, even though they don't bring in as much money, that they're still gonna be protected if the people still wanna do the sport.
I think something to consider though is that if a school in this day and age did do that, and also it didn't happen, that would be a violation of other laws that are already set in place, because that would be discrimination if they didn't allow girls to have equal opportunity, because sports is still a form of education. This would more just be saying you don't have to have a requirement for equal amount, like you said, but there are other laws in place that would still, I mean, it doesn't directly relate to sports, but sports education in a school is still considered education. So if any school directly stopped all women's sports or all men's sports, either way, I can see it being taken to court by lots of people in school who want to take a women's sport, and would most likely be ruled in the favor of the women because that would be discrimination. And so that doesn't necessarily mean if we get rid of that, that would happen, because there's a lot of other discrimination laws that would prevent that.
Another way of looking at this is not necessarily with the monetary value given to the different teams, but also like the specific spots for each team. Like for example, football has a 52-man roster, so you're gonna have 52 men that are on one team, so you have to have the same amount for women on the other side. However, there's not 52 spots on a volleyball team, which means that you have to have a lot more sports for women to account for the amount of people that are on like a football roster. So because of that, it makes the other teams on men's sides a lot smaller, which means that it's harder to get on some rosters. Like for example, I'm going through this trying to get on a roster on a college sport. It's a lot more difficult for a guy to get on that roster due to Title IX restrictions because the roster sizes are smaller on those male teams compared to the women's teams. So eliminating this would reduce that. So then male teams can boost their numbers a little bit.
Alright, so, are you ready for the question?
I'm moving for this question.
Is there a second?
Second.
Alright, the question is concerned with the adoption of Senate Bill 5. All those in favor of passing the bill into law will rise and remain standing while the vote is taken.
You can just tell them which side you count it.
I'm voting in favor of this too, so
Okay, that's a majority. Yeah, that's a majority.
Alright, all those opposed, likewise. Alright, so those in favor have it.
Do you wanna try to get one more, please? It's a fairly open shut deal, or?
What is it? No, this one might take a while, I think.
Can we see it?
It's the butcher's one, the Andrew name.
Please say it.
So you as, Andrew, since you're the majority leader, if you have one that you know that you want to try to vote on really quickly, call it. If there's, you can take a quick look, these documents are still available. You can bring one in for you.
What about what's in the week's one? The teacher shoot back bill.
No, that's gonna take like way too long.
Well, cause once you did some count, so you had one that was like open shut, right, priorities between votes.
I don't have the paper anymore.
He's got
I
it.
would do the vaccine.
And if there's one that everybody was pretty clear there, or we might never get one.
3 minutes.
Alright, so, the chair will now entertain a main motion. I move, so chairperson,
You wanna try for? Pretty straightforward.
are you not?
Oh goodness. Okay. We're not even gonna get it open, guys. Other than that, I don't think. Oh wait, are all those bottom things gone?
Yeah, these,
Yeah.
Okay, well, okay, you can try. Who's the chairperson?
that was me. Yeah.
We have to vote to see if the majority vote on it, okay?
In
So,
like 1 minute.
alright, so I move to consider Senate Bill 7, 6, whatever. Is the motion seconded?
Second.
Alright, so the motion has been seconded. Will all in favor signify by raising the right hand?
We're not gonna make it. We're not gonna make it. Thanks for trying though. Okay, can we do Zach Hand for this?
Good job, Pat.
Alright, and you guys, reformed immigration and got rid of Title IX. Those are two pretty major things. Started out with 29 things, got at the end of the process, 2. So you can see that oftentimes time